Altos is brought to you with the kind compliments of Rituals, Coffee House, and Belgrew's Funeral Home.
Good day and welcome to Altos, a production of the Catholic News and broadcast on Trinity TV and TTT. I'm your host Neil Parsonlad, and a happy Labor Day to all. Ahead on our show this week, Archbishop Gabriel Malzaire outlines his plans for the administration of the Diocese of St. George's in Grenada as he takes over from the now-retired Bishop Clyde Harvey. The Catholic community remembers the pioneering work of Sister Ruth Montrichard, who died at age 84. Laventille devotions continue. Father Augustine Kintu tells attendees about the 2 C's. We examine the ever-increasing role of artificial intelligence in different aspects of daily life. And later, AMCHAM President Nirad Tewarie joins us to discuss some issues affecting labor and business in Trinidad and Tobago. And now for our top story. Archbishop Gabriel Malzaire of Castries St. Lucia has been named Apostolic Administrator of the Diocese of St. George's in Grenada, following Pope Leo's acceptance of Bishop Emeritus Clyde Harvey's resignation, which was announced on June 9th. The Archbishop spoke at a press conference hosted by Good News Catholic Communications on Monday in Grenada. Altos reporter Kaelan Jordan has more.
Archbishop of Castries Gabriel Malzaire says he will appoint a delegate to assist with administration as he balances responsibilities between St. Lucia and Grenada. He says one of his main challenges is managing both dioceses at the same time.
One of the big challenges, I think, is holding the 2 dioceses together. I plan to come here for 1 week every month.
Archbishop Malzaire says understanding each diocese will be key to his approach.
Each country or each diocese is unique, and in order to know the challenges, I must know the place. But I think the challenges are normal to church: learning people, leading people, giving them a sense of their role, their responsibilities, and the spirituality that they are called to follow.
The Archbishop confirmed the bishop appointment process is still ongoing.
There is a process going on at the moment, so as to when it's going to be concluded, it's certainly not within my knowledge, but we hope that it will be as soon as possible.
Archbishop Malzaire also referenced prior experience as apostolic administrator in Dominica and St. John's Bastille. He says his role is continuity, not change.
An apostolic administrator would have limitations. He would, if he is wise enough, he would not, implement new things that are of long-term effects,
I am Kaelan Jordan reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
Sister Ruth Montrichard died last Sunday at 84 years of age. A member of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Cluny, she was a teacher for over 10 years before joining the non-governmental service organization, Serval, working alongside its founder, Father Jerry Pantin. Sister Ruth was remembered for her compassion, kindness, and the many lives she touched. Laura Pickford-Gordon compiled this report.
Sister Ruth spent more than 50 years with Serval, which has a focus on empowering at-risk youth, adults, and communities through programs for education and self-development. Sister Ruth was hands-on developing programs and served on Serval's board of directors. In a post on their Facebook page, Serval described Sister Ruth as more than a dedicated servant of the community.
She was a beacon of compassion, wisdom, and unwavering commitment to the development of others. Through her kindness, guidance, and tireless efforts, she touched countless lives and left an indelible mark on the Serval family.
According to Serval, Sister Ruth's presence gave comfort, encouragement, and hope to those who had the privilege of knowing her, and Sister Ruth's impact will continue.
The values she embodied and the lives she helped shape will continue to inspire us for generations to come. But her legacy of love, service, and dedication will forever remain in our hearts.
Sister Ruth was a member of the World Community for Christian Meditation, WCCM. Director of the WCCM, Father Lawrence Freeman, in a message of condolence, said Sister Ruth was a born teacher and founder. She served as a national coordinator, regional coordinator, and member of the guiding council of the WCCM. He stated, quote, "She not only introduced countless people to meditation and helped them to integrate it into their lives just as she had. She also trained and inspired them to do the same with others." Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon will preside at the funeral mass for Sister Ruth Montrichard on Monday at 10 a.m. at the St. Joseph Convent Chapel, Port of Spain. This is Lara Pickford Gordon for the Catholic News, Altos.
The second installment of the Laventille Devotion series drew a large congregation to the Our Lady of Fatima Marian Shrine on Sunday, June 14th. Chief Celebrant Father Augustine Kintu used his message to remind the faithful that they are neither forgotten nor worthless, but are treasures of God. Clisha Best has more.
A wonderful time was had by those gathered at the Our Lady of Fatima Marian Shrine for the second Sunday of the Laventille Devotions series. Father Augustine Kintu opened his lively homily by drawing from the journey of the Hebrews from Egypt to Mount Sinai. Father Kintu reminded the congregation that they are no longer slaves to the past. They are children of God, precious in his sight and worthy of dying for. He pointed to the apostles, who were not professors or scholars, whom Jesus called and entrusted with his mission. Father Kintu invited each person to see themselves as God sees them, chosen, cherished, and called to be a treasure for others. The Laventille Devotion series will continue next month with the final installment in October. I am Clisha Best for Catholic News, Altos.
Artificial intelligence is rapidly changing the way people work, learn, and communicate. As Trinidad and Tobago observes Labor Day, questions are being raised about what this technology could mean for jobs, workers, and the future of work. Andre Burton reports in this sponsored segment.
This sponsored segment of Altos is brought to you with the kind compliments of Belgro's Funeral Home. We do more than just say we care.
As artificial intelligence advances, even the people building the technology do not agree on its impact on jobs. For many people, the AI revolution is no longer a future possibility. From customer service calls to self-service systems and the tools used in offices every day, artificial intelligence is quietly changing how work gets done.
No expert can actually predict at this time. And that's for a lot of reasons. The technology is moving so fast. We have not even started to, gather enough data to figure out, what the impact is going to be. But I think that Dario, which is the CEO of Anthropic, has it right in that it may be that we're not seeing it yet, but it is coming. That it is coming for sure.
In his recent encyclical on artificial intelligence, Pope Leo XIV warned that technological advancement must never come at the expense of human dignity.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the church. When I think of what we're seeing, which is rapid technology, right? It's almost like a race, right? It's like a space race. And the tech companies are saying, hey, look, if we lose, we're going to lose economically. And so the importance of us winning outweighs all other risks. It takes, a leader of 1.4 billion people on the planet to step up and say, hey, no, technology advancements are okay, but they can't be at the expense of people.
The question is not whether artificial intelligence will change the way people work. The question is how society responds to that change.
Yes, there's going to be impact. So I would say to those organizations that are looking into automation, looking into AI, if you do find that it is displacing people, to stop and think about helping those people retool, do more valuable work in the world of AI, or, and to do the Christ-like thing, which is to take care of people, respect the dignity of people.
As Trinidad and Tobago marks Labor Day, the debate over artificial intelligence is no longer about the future. It is already here. For the Church, the challenge is ensuring that technological progress never comes at the expense of human dignity. I am Andre Burton, reporting for Catholic News, Altos.
This sponsored segment of Altos was brought to you with the kind compliments of Belgro's Funeral Home. We do more than just say we care.
Artificial intelligence is also raising important questions about education, learning, and how young people prepare for the future. Next week, we will continue our series on AI with a look at how technology is changing the classroom and what it means for students, teachers, and parents. And stay with us. Nirad Tewarie will join us. Nirad Tewarie from the AMCHAM, the American Chamber of Commerce, will join us for a further discussion on AI and its impact on the labor force. It's now time for us to take a short break. We'll be right back. Thanks very much for staying with us. Today is Labor Day, and the crowds would have gathered in Faizabad by now. Lots of announcements would have been made. We have on set with us, luckily today, Nirad Tewarie. Nirad is the CEO of AMCHAM, the American Chamber of Commerce. And Nirad, we're glad to have you to talk a little bit more about Labor Day and that how does technology impact on the labor force? The introduction of AI, how does that affect, and how is that going to affect the workforce in the years to come? Nirad, welcome, and thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening, Neil. Thanks for having me, and good evening to all your viewers. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you. Nirad, very often we talk about AI and the influence of technology on the workplace as an either-or situation, that it's either, people get laid off or people retain their employment. How do you see it? And if it's not either-or, then what? What is it that we can look forward to?
So I'm glad you framed it that way. So if you look at we are supposedly in the fourth industrial revolution, right? And the fourth industrial revolution is characterized by the speed of change and the speed of technological advancement. So when we went, to the plow and that kind of thing, people thought, oh my gosh, we're going to lose jobs. Then we went to the steam engines, people thought, oh my God, there's going to be no jobs for workers. And then the automobiles and the printing press and so on. And all along, there was a fear that there are no jobs. So the challenge we have today, well, there are multiple challenges. The first is because of the speed of change, and we're on the cusp not only of AI, we're on the cusp of quantum computing, which will revolutionize, make AI look like dial-up internet, right? I mean, so imagine systems where you can't, they crack your password no matter what they are in like 15, 30 seconds, right? And that, that's one of the fears of it, but there's so many positive applications potentially. So the challenges that we have, the main challenge is I think we have to start with basics. So AI, quantum computing, the internet, all of these things are tools. Just like fire is a tool. Fire is neither good nor bad, but it could burn down a house or it could help us cook. Yeah. So how do we as a society want to organize ourselves? Do we want to organize ourselves in such a way that we are able to take care of the most vulnerable and that we set a minimum benchmark of what most vulnerable means, and therefore we are not comfortable saying a certain percentage, whether that's 5% or 30%, live in absolute poverty. And if we say things like that, then we set those goals, then we design the systems and use the tools to make those systems achieve the objectives that we want. But sometimes I find we overcomplicate things. So in terms of AI, yes, some jobs will not be necessary for humans to do
in well-functioning economies, whether those be government services or private, in the private sector, that humans do now. But if we design our societies properly, we're going to create other meaningful work. And that's the thing. And when you talk about labor and Labor Day, the goal of the tripartite discussions is not for work, it's for decent work. And decent work means that when people come to work, broadly speaking, I'm not using the academic definition, right? Broadly speaking, when people come to work, they are safe, they're in comfortable conditions, and they have economic choice, meaning they can choose to work or they can choose not to work. They can choose to work here or they can choose to work there. And then that work gives them a minimum decent quality of life and the ability to improve their economic condition over time. And so if we look at things broadly speaking in that context, then again, we use the tools that way. And there will be, I mean, some lawyers will lose their jobs as a result of AI.
But that's interesting, you know, in terms of some of the persons who might end up losing their jobs. Do you think that in this area of the advancement of AI, and as you described earlier, quantum computing, that there is still going to be a role and a place for the trade union sector?
There must be. I think, you see, so I am not one of those business leaders who sees the trade unions as adversaries. I think that the trade unions are partners, because the reality is that any system that you organize, you need to have checks and balances on it, and you need to have people and organized groups who are looking out for the interest of the different segments of that of that system, of the people within that system. So you need chambers of commerce to look out for the interests of business. You need government to regulate and manage and set policy. And you need the trade unions to ensure that between government and business, the people who are doing the work and are supposed to benefit from this economic structure are able to benefit. And I think over time, you know, we've gone sort of closer and further from that. I would like to think that we can get to a point where, closer to where we are partners again. It means that, to be honest, the government has to set the conditions for tripartism to make sense. So where we could come together and collaborate and say, well, all right, these are the 10 things we agree on. Let's not focus on the 2 things on which we disagree, or agree to disagree on these 2 things because they're not fundamental, but focus on the wins for the 10 things that we agree on. Right?
Do you think that is made easier now with the close alliance we see between government and some of the trade union movement?
I don't know. It's too early to tell. For example, we are engaged with the Ministry of Labour right now on the amendments to the Retrenchments and Severance Benefit Act. We agree on the principles, right? That is that workers shouldn't just be discarded and so on. But we also have to do that in such a way that it doesn't seem to business that this is a place where they shouldn't invest, because the risks, if the business doesn't work out, get too high. And so far the minister and the ministry are receptive and willing to listen to what we have to say and try and work collaboratively. So if that continues, then yes. If it doesn't, then no. But as I say, it's too early to tell. But you see the unions themselves, at least some of them, trying to reinvent themselves. You see what the OWTU is doing is they're getting into business, right? In a real way, not as in a side way, not setting up a credit union. Business, you know, I mean, it's you know, the traditional things. Credit unions are real businesses. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm saying they're getting into other more trading businesses, transactions, and so on, right? So I think the unions themselves realize that the world is changing,
and there are some pivots that they have to make.
Which is a good thing.
Nirad, we want to thank you so very much for joining us. There's a lot more that we could talk about. The whole issue of quantum computing that you introduced, and AI, and how technology and how do we balance technology in the workplace? How do we balance technology and the worker? The Pope has recently issued a statement saying, you can't sacrifice one for the next.
Agreed, 100%.
So we thank you so very much, you know, for being with us, and we hope to continue the discussion at some one point.
And I have to plug techislands.net. AMCHAM is having a tech conference where we're addressing this and other issues,
and
right?
other
So
issues,
please
yes.
check it out and attend if you can.
Thanks very much for staying with us. We'll be right back.
In this Sunday's issue of the Catholic News, single father David Ramcharan says fatherhood reshapes, transforms, and heals in our guest editorial for Father's Day. Director of the Vocations Office, Father Kenwin Sylvester, writes on the joy of spiritual fatherhood in the monthly Vocations column. And General Manager of the Catholic Commission for Social Justice, Father Stefan Alexander, says justice is more than a moment, it is a journey. Here are the clergy anniversaries for the coming week. And the coming events. I'm Raymond Sims, editor of the Catholic News. Happy Father's Day to all fathers.
Every day, we try to make our lives of Catholic work something meaningful to God.
Because we need a faith community to do God's work in this world.
The marketplace is not separate from our spiritual life.
Being an entrepreneur is bold and it requires courage.
The Archdiocese of Port of Spain recently presented former Chancellor Joan Fortuny Miller with a papal award, the Bene Merenti Medal. The presentation was held at Archbishop's residence the day before the solemnity of Corpus Christi. Editor Raymond Sims has more on the private ceremony that took place.
For almost 20 years, Joan Fortuny Miller has given generous and dedicated service to the Archdiocese of Port of Spain in various capacities. Her contribution is seen as both substantial and historic, and its fruits will remain part of the institutional life of the local church for many years to come. Before a small gathering, Fortuny Miller was presented with the Bene Merenti Medal by Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon on June 3rd. She described the papal award as humbling.
This is very humbling. This is very humbling. If anybody would have told me that this would have come to me at the end of my journey, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? But I recognize that God is a God of abundance. And He just gives. He just gives.
Fortuny Miller thanked everyone for the honor and remembered in a special way her now deceased parents for their example of service to the church. She also thanked her siblings as well as her family, especially her husband Kurt, who she said has stood by her and given steadfast support. Archbishop Gordon expressed his thanks on behalf of the Archdiocese.
It's a lot that you have given generously and selflessly to the church over a long period of time, starting with values and virtues, greater stewardship, greater appeal, greater chancellor. And I really want to thank you for your years of service, your selflessness. Thank you.
I am Raymond Sims for Catholic News Altos.
And you can read more in this week's issue of the Catholic News. The World Cup has kicked off, and the questions are, who does Pope Leo XIV support? And will he be watching the matches? Here's some reports from Rome.
With the 2026 World Cup now underway, millions of people are united in love of one thing: soccer. Among those fans is Pope Leo XIV, who, since the beginning of his papacy, has made it clear that sports hold a special place in his heart. To mark the start of the World Cup, the Pope posted the following on social media. The World Cup begins tomorrow, and many will watch the matches. Soccer reminds us of something we must not forget. Life is not a race to show off on our own, but a path we learn to walk together. Anyone who does not know how to pass the ball, even if they have talent, has not yet understood the game. Anyone who does not know how to live life with and for others has not yet understood life. In recent weeks, Pope Leo has shown his soccer-loving side. During the outbound flight of his apostolic journey to Spain, journalists asked him about the age-old rivalry between Real Madrid and Barcelona. His answer quickly went viral.
The Pope for all teams
All right. On the flight, Poplio admitted that he wasn't sure how many matches he would be able to watch, but that he would be supporting the United States, his home country, since Peru had failed to qualify. Although some time ago, in his first interview as Pope, he had already confessed that, should the two countries ever come into conflict, he would likely side with Peru, where he spent almost 40 years as a missionary and bishop.
Scenario, the United States played Peru in the World Cup. Who do you cheer for?
Good question, probably Peru.
It's no coincidence. It was during this time in Peru that he truly came to appreciate the passion soccer inspires. There he experienced the sport as a force that brings families, neighborhoods, and communities together.
Todo el mundo sabe que ahora juego tenis. Jugaba fútbol como joven, pero fútbol americano, un poco más violento. Pero también con los seminaristas, cuando estuve en Trujillo, jugaba fútbol. Defensa, si quieren saber. No era gran goleador. Pero cuando estaba, primero en Roma, donde viví la primera experiencia del Mundial, 1982, que fue aquí en España. Luego en Perú, con los seminaristas, seguía mucho, los equipos locales, pero también jugaba con los seminaristas.
His passion for sports doesn't end there. Even before he was elected Pope, he was known for his love of tennis and even for following American baseball. Now, with the World Cup as a backdrop, Leo XIV is once again showing that, for him, the world of sports matters.
And that's a wrap for our show this week. We thank you so very much for viewing. We encourage you to continue to nurture your faith by praying and reading the Bible. Sunday is Father's Day, and we wish Happy Father's Day to all the nation's fathers. As we go, we take in the music and dancing from On Holy Ground, a worship experience put on by 4-4 Music at the Central Bank Auditorium on Friday, June 12th. Have a good weekend, everyone.
This sponsored segment of Altos was brought to you with the kind compliments of Belgro's Funeral Home. We do more than just say we care.